Oh, there he is. Okay, this is Kaio. Okay, so hello everybody, and welcome to another video. This is the Blitzballer I was talking about at the end of the last episode. I was really kind of weirded out that I couldn't find him. So here you can see this guy's actually a reasonable goalkeeper. I do remember, even though I don't remember what all the Blitzball players do anymore because I lost that notepad file, I do remember that there's two goalies that come very closely here. Kaio's the first. He can actually play in goal, or he can be a defender, because you'll notice he's actually got very high attack too. I think you'll actually find that if enemy teams sign him on, he becomes a defender rather than a guy in goal. But anyway, so he's one, and the other one you can find, no, we don't want to sign him, is just shortly, and again, it's another goalie, and then after that, it's sort of blown wide open, and I don't really remember anything else that goes on. I'm a little bit worried about this recording. I hope everyone's doing well, by the way. I've had a bit of a break from Final Fantasy X for a while, so this is the first one in a while. I'm hoping to do a big long marathon today, mainly because I'm a little bit worried my capture card seems to be going kind of weird. You guys know that we had like that repeating dialogue a while ago before Operation Mihen? Today, it's been really odd. I hope it's not on its way out, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I should just try and bust the series out as quick as possible, because financially I'm not in a position to be able to replace this capture card if it goes, so it would put the series completely on hold, so I'm really kind of scared about that. Anyway, enough doom and gloom. Let's talk about a couple of things that I missed that I want to talk to you guys about that I've remembered as I did more research on future areas. I figure out, I've got to replace the notepad somehow, so I'm just sort of doing it as I go. Number one was something really important from last episode. You remember we equipped this halberd onto Kimahri to make him like a decent mage character? This is actually a really unique weapon that you can only get from that guy that gives it to you, because all of Kimahri's weapons by default are supposed to have piercing on them. You'll notice with Auron over here too, all of his weapons are meant to have piercing on them. There are some very rare situations in Final Fantasy X where you basically get bugged weapons that don't have piercing, and so this is one of them. It's magic plus 20% and a free slot. There is no piercing on this, and for that reason, I mean, it's only got 2 slots, so it's not an amazing weapon end game for Kimahri, but it does give you a bit of leeway when you want to make Kimahri into some kind of a black mage, because piercing is completely irrelevant to you if you are a mage. So it's one of those items, just like Tidus's default sword, that if you were going for one of these weird, bizarre 100% runs, you'd never want to get rid of. So that's one thing that I neglected to mention before. Another thing, huge thing, I'm just going to go get myself on a random counter here so that we are doing something while I'm talking. Another huge thing that I forgot, okay, in Luca, you know that I told you that we had the Sphere Theatre, right? And there were a bunch of screens to get to the Sphere Theatre. I told you guys about that. I said, it's really weird that they give you all these different scenes that you go there. I did have a follow-up thought on that initially that I'd completely forgotten while actually doing this LP and was just hidden in the notepad file. If you translate the text in that area, so Kimahri now doesn't really have anything amazing, but he does have 2 spells, so let's try and use fire, I guess, on a dingo, see how he does. Now, these guys are resistant to magic, and it's not Fira, so don't expect much damage, but look, he managed to kill it anyway, so that's pretty cool. We'll swap Aura on it instead of Lulu here. So, one reason why there may be so many screens devoted to that, like, weird little feature, instead of just adding 2 random merchants, for example, out somewhere in the world, is if you translate the spear and text on that screen, you can actually see one of them says auction house. And so this, combined with the fact they give so much like build up to the area, suggests that it was actually a gameplay feature they were once thinking about for Final Fantasy X that they never did in the end. And Final Fantasy VI actually had a very similar feature. I never really played 6 very much, so I can't talk too knowledgeably about it. But it does sort of sound like this is the kind of thing where you could go there and bid on different items, and rarer items might appear earlier, stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool, actually, and I remembered or realised it when I was doing a bit of research for this episode, and was like, I've got to tell everyone. So yeah, that's one thing. A few comments people were leaving probably a while ago now, especially for you guys watching. I should have used Fira there, that should have killed it. Would be the voice actors and actresses for the game. One thing that's kind of interesting, I know I didn't make Kimahri use a spell there, but I just wanted to finish the fan off. So people have been telling me, Waka, okay, his voice actor is the same voice actor as Bender from Futurama, apparently, and Owaka is Murdoch from the A-Team. You'd be surprised, actually. Owaka does a lot of, the guy who voices Owaka does a lot of the voices in this game, but yeah. So, let's head on into the new area. We're now at a place called the Moonflow. I've got a lot of cool lore to tell you guys about in this episode. One of the things that inspired me to do this LP, I learnt it a while ago, Mostly when the remake came out, I knew I wanted to do it, but I also didn't know the kind of things I wanted to talk about. And as I read more, I started to learn some interesting things. And one of the biggest ones is I'm going to tell you here. So anyway, this guy, another wounded dude from Operation Mayhem. Jeez, it feels like a while ago now, right? He says it's not much of a wound. I should be able to go on, but I can't. The mission fails. I can't even walk. What did I do to deserve this? Is that a typo? The mission fails instead of failed? Okay, now he's just looping. What about you? We've always fought side by side. Now we can go back home together. Yeah, it doesn't look like we can go anywhere. We're leaving the Crusaders. Why fight? We know we can't win. Ouch. You know, that's fair enough. Like, Titus almost said something to that effect before, right? Like, if you've been fighting Sim for so long, why haven't you been able to do anything? Yeah. People are eventually going to be wondering. So, Ochu are common encounters here in the Moonflow. We haven't seen one of these since the optional boss in Kilika. I think these ones are stronger than the ones we met before, but do you know what's really cool about fighting Ochus on the Moonflow? That. Okay, if you bought Waka the TKO, you can destroy the Ochu. You can finish them off so quickly. And it makes this so easy. This whole section of the game. Basically, he's going to have that weapon for most of the game, guys. Because it makes like a lot of the long, annoying encounters kind of trivial. Anyway, here's Shalinda.
Good day, everyone. We can all learn a lesson from what has happened to the Crusaders. Only the truly faithful have a hope of defeating sin.
She doesn't really offer very much there, does she?
I'm thinking of going to Guado Salam. I have not spoken with the Guado for some time.
Ah, the Guado, okay.
I'm thinking of...
So the Seymour is half Guado, of course. We've met a few, but they've been kind of quiet. There's a chest over here. Now, this area, so 3 level 1 key spheres. That's going to blow the sphere grid wide open for those of you who are interested in it. The Guado, this road where we are right now. So here you can see we've got an Ochu and a friggin' dingo dude who actually managed to silence Lulu, which is pretty awesome. Now, it's not guaranteed that Waka will petrify those every time, so you do want to be aware. What was it we killed one of these with earlier? Fire, was it? This road, with some of the complaints, I've talked about it a little bit before. Should we try and score a Moogle kill? She's going to miss, isn't she? But this thing's bound to be on super low health. Ah, come on. I shouldn't waste screen time on this every time. Okay, let's go again. And there you go. You see, that didn't petrify. It is only 50-50 whether it petrifies or not, but there you go. So, yeah, this, all the complaints about Final Fantasy X being linear, this area of the game is rather linear. You know, this road in particular, it's a bit like the Jose road. It's just sort of a long path, okay? And there's some cool scenery. In particular, where we're currently stood, there's like a tiny little hill. And you can see just off in the back left over, like, all these fields way out in the distance. Okay, so, yeah, here's the little ridge I was talking about. Look over there, just behind the map. You can actually turn the map off in the config, I believe. Usually, like, I'd be an advocate for doing something like that. It gives you more screen, but, you know, the UI is so minimal in Final Fantasy X anyway. I like to have the map on in this game, especially considering on this road, it's incredibly linear, but whenever there's a chest, you can quite clearly see, like, an offshoot on the road of where you want to go to get it. Anyway, look, that looks like the 2 Runsos we met in the bar before, just hanging out. Here you'll see, this is a good example of what the, like, fauna and wildlife is like on this area. These are all enemies we saw back in Mushroom Rock, right? They're all enemies we saw back in Mushroom Rock. And it kind of enforces what they were talking about last episode. I don't want to attack that thing physically. Let's use fire on it. It kind of enforces what they were talking about last episode where we were at the temple and they were like, oh, this broke out of the Mushroom Rock, kind of suggesting geographically we're still in the same-ish area. But, of course, it's got a lot more green now and a lot more lush. You know, I also like about the TKO is the fact that it remains Waka as like a status inflictor. Petrify is still just a status in theory, so it kind of fits his theme. Anyway, so let's chat with these guys.
Look! One of Kimari's friends looks just like him.
What?
Both follow summoners on all 4s. Hornless goatlings. Hornless! Hornless!
You come to insult Kimari?
Wrong. We come to warn little Kimari. Summoners disappear. never return. Next will be Kimari's summoner. Poor Kimari lost his horn. Next lose his summoner. Pitiful Kimari, howl alone, howl alone.
Howl alone.
Do those two got something against you? What? They were just picking on you?
Kimari will deal with them.
And I'll help.
Kimari alone.
But,
It's Kimari's problem. You can't interfere. It's a rule.
I'm worried.
Let the Ronso deal with Ronso problems, yeah? That's how it's always been.
I mean, I'm worried about those summoners disappearing.
They aren't just disappearing into thin air.
hey, if we Guardians do our job, no problem, right?
Confident.
Yeah.
Well, there's enough of us, right? For the record, the music, I know I rant on about the music way too much, but the music there, okay, I don't know how much you guys remember of it, okay, but that's like one of the best tracks in the whole game, and the next time you like properly hear it, when it becomes like the music of an area, is like so late in the game. It's just, it's beautiful. I think it's called, it's just like the Gagazet theme, so Kimari's from Mount Gagazet, and it's like the Gagazet theme. It's pretty crazy. So there's Titus. Now, I just did the sphere grid stuff cheekily while you guys weren't looking. Whacker's learned 2 new abilities I'd love to talk to you guys about. The first of them is called Dark Buster. So he got Dark Attack, started with it, then Silence Attack, then Sleep Attack. Now he's got Dark Buster. What's the difference between Dark Attack and Dark Buster? Well, if you read at the top, it says, almost always inflicts darkness on... Wow, I said always really weird there. It's like my voice cracked, like I'm still going through puberty or something. Almost always inflicts darkness on an enemy for 1 turn. So it's different to Dark Attack in that sometimes Dark Attack will fail, and as you continue to play through the game, some enemies become kind of resistant to Dark Attack. So Dark Buster's gonna get through those resistances, it's gonna put it on them regardless. The caveat though is it will only inflict it for 1 turn. So they do something really nice here. I think RPGs have a tendency, and Final Fantasy does it in the same way. Like, look at Lulu's Black Magic. Once you've unlocked Fira, why would you ever want to go back to Fire, right? It's just demonstrably better. Well, with Whacker and the Busters in particular, there's actually still reason to use the primitive version of the attack because it lasts longer. It's just a bit more of a risky play. So this is going to be really nice if you're against, say, a boss who gets like less turns, for example. And you can make sure Whacker gets another Dark Buster in each time. So it's the effect of a Dark Attack, but it's just costing you a lot more MP in turns, for example. So anyway, that's Dark Buster. We may as well use it.
Lights out. Yeah.
And that's what he says to that. Lovely. And he petrified it. So there you go. Even though that's not even his matchup. Can Kimari kill one of these with a tier 1 spell? I wonder. Because Lulu couldn't. Yeah, he can. See how good that magic plus 20% is? Whacker's also learned another ability I'll talk to you guys about next time. What did we get out of that chest? It was something good, wasn't it? Was it like an elixir, I think? Something? And yeah, so people have moved around on the grid. Lulu learned the rest of her black magic stuff, so that's pretty cool. That's about it, really. I don't think anything else has really changed. So what we're going to do here is bring Lulu in to... kill the Fungwa. I'm surprised how little I'm using Auron. Auron's like usually one of my favorites. Does a lot of damage, tanky. He's just great to have on the team. But you know, I guess this time compared to the Petrify attacks, the fact that you know the elemental weaknesses of these guys, this was Blizzard, wasn't it? I think it was Blizzard. You know, there's just less reason for him. It shouldn't mean he falls behind. Maybe that wasn't Blizzard, but we got the kill anyway. So yeah.
Too easy.
Awesome. I don't know what you just said there, Lulu, but it was beautiful. Oh, I was going to demonstrate the ability. What's wrong with me? So here's a great example, by the way. Every time there's a chest, you just know here. I don't even have to look at my guide on this one. Another 3 level 1 key spheres. Just because there's always a little indent off of the side of the road. I think it's a bit disappointing. I always look back on this bit of the journey. Like, everyone's still pretty cheery. You know, we've just gone through something pretty horrible. And there was that cutscene where they were saying laughing is the only thing keeping these people together, which is quite cool. But, I like petrifying these guys as well, by the way, just because their colour barely changes and the chat. But, you know, everyone's still kind of cheering. It still feels like a pilgrimage, like an adventure. I remember when I was younger, it's not so much anymore. What were these guys weak to? I don't remember. I'm just going to get Titus in. I remember when I was a lot younger, and you get to the later stages of the game, sort of regretting that this feeling, this sort of adventuring, hey, we're running around the world, just along long roads and stuff, this adventure part didn't last longer. I seriously remember thinking that. I still haven't shown you the ability, but whatever. We'll kill that. So, you know, I used to look back fondly on it. Now, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, this road in particular, you meet a couple of characters, a couple of the recurring characters, you know, I've talked about this before, this sense of a community. And I like the forests and stuff in the background, but not too much happens on this high road. Neither in the sequel does much really happen here. In fact, I think in the sequel, this is the least visited area of the whole damn game. Let's go get Kimahri out. I don't know why I want Kimahri to become a complete boss. I want him to catch up with Lulu, but not to have Lulu be underpowered. So he's basically, it would mean I'd have to grind, and I don't want to grind. I don't know. The other thing is, obviously, as you grind, I've never really established this, but as you grind with the sphere levels, you do gain them slower and slower and slower. Oh, my recording just had a hiccup there. Oh, okay, hopefully you guys can still see me. See, this is worrying. I don't know what's wrong with my capture card. It just had a serious hiccup. Maybe I should restart the recording. I don't know. So Belinda's here. Oh, sorry, Belinda Belgamine. Let's get Whacker in, try and finish this as soon as possible. And what you can do if you fail to get those petrifications is you can obviously use Tidus to just haste him. So yeah, Belgamine's here. I'm pretty confident we'll do alright this time, so let's have a chat.
We meet again. I heard you took part in Operation Mihin. You've seen that Machina aren't the answer. In the end, only summoners can hope to defeat Sin.
You are right. I must train harder.
I can help with that, if you like. I propose a contest of Aeons. A friendly contest, of course.
Sure, that's fine.
I'm ready.
That's the spirit. But before we begin...
Yeah, you're gonna heal us up. You hear that line of dialogue so much in this game.
Your Aeons. Well, shall we?
She's kind of like mystic and weird and creepy. I don't know. Alright, so who's she gonna summon? Well, just like with Ifrit, you know, this is kind of funny. You get a new Aeon, and then for me, I don't know, me at least, as a player, I sort of forget that we've unlocked a new Aeon, and I don't use it. I guess the idea is you're meant to use it against the Ochus, I guess. But that, my friends...
Call whichever Aeon you want.
...is Ixion. That's the lightning Aeon. So, let's... Now, so basically, he's not going to be weak to Ifrit because he's lightning and Ifrit's fire, so they're not the opposed elements. However, Valifor, at the very least, does have all the black magic unlocked. So, we could go with Valifor and hit him with his weakness, or we could just go with Ifrit, who's far more tanky and can heal himself. So, I'm going to go with Ifrit. Now, the reason why I'm more confident in this matchup is that even if we die with Ifrit here, we can still actually... use Valifor afterwards, so that's going to be quite pleasant. Now, he doesn't have Null Shock, does he? No, he doesn't. So, we don't want to cast Fire. Meteor Strike damages an enemy, but is slightly slower, so it'll mean Ixion starts getting more turns. Maybe we just attack. 300 damage. It'll be a bit of a slow one.
Don't hold anything back. Show me what you've learned.
Sure, I've learned that I can heal Ifrit. So, with any luck, we'll be able to be at max health here. When Ixion... So, Aerospark, this is Ixion's like special attack. You see that did a lot of damage to us and charged our overdrive quite heavily. So I need to heal now, so I'm going to use fire on myself. Now, with any luck, this will heal us to full. If this heals us to full, then we know for a fact. Not quite full. But, so I think Aerospark is a quicker attack too. I think that's sort of the idea behind it. So our overdrive's up now. Yeah, see how many more turns Ixion's getting against us now? It's kind of scary. I guess there's a bit of RNG with this fight. Honestly, I didn't really research very much about this. There's probably a bit of RNG in that if he Aerosparks too much, you might be screwed. So, I think he's slowly whittling me down here, guys. Maybe we just, we Hellfire, and then we try and finish it off with Valifor. So let's go with the Hellfire here. This is Ifrit's Overdrive. We'll get the short version this time, because we've already seen the long one. That's an option that I set in the options menu. 3,000 damage. Oh god, he just hasted himself. That isn't good. I didn't realise he hasted himself. Note that this Ixion used haste. How is it that it may use magic that Yuna's Ixion cannot? Select ability, and then it teaches you some stuff that Belgamy is supposed to teach us. So he's just absolutely wrecked us there. This is kind of worrying. Maybe I should have gone into this with a bit more prep. Basically, by losing these, you should always fight. If you pass up the fight, you're going to miss the ability to do new stuff with the irons. Go on, nice double dodge there. That was pretty good. So you're going to miss options, right? But if you choose to fight and lose, it just means you miss like one extra item. And the completionists and you guys watching might be screaming right now and be like, oh no, you can't miss anything. It's really not going to be a big deal. It's going to be like, I think they're like electro marbles it gives you here or something. No, nothing crazy. So anyway, now we actually have the opposing element, but we are against a very fast Ixion who, if they choose to friggin' Aerospark, we could be screwed very quickly. So I'm just going to use water on it, see how much damage we manage to do. Ixion is currently in a weak stance. So there you go, 400 damage, bit more than Ifrit was able to do. But here's the problem. I think we're screwed here, guys. I really do, because Valifor can't heal herself. We can go with an look. Ixion's gonna get 3 turns now. What am I supposed to do here? We could try and shield, but what's that even gonna do? Ah, I think we've lost this. We may have lost this. So there's a shield. Oh my god, her overdrive's up. Ixion's overdrive's up. That's it. It's game over, guys. It's game over. We lost. I can't believe it. I thought I didn't have to charge their overdrives. I don't think I did in my test file. Maybe this is a sign. This is a sign that things are starting to get a little bit harder. But hey, that's not so bad. And it means we'll get some different dialogue from Belgamina as well. She'll say like, oh, you still have much to learn. There you go. So we lost. I really don't mind about that though. That's totally fine. She would have given us some items that was useful for like something, which I'll tell you in a second when the tutorial comes up. Ah, Ixion would have been low on health. You know, we could have just cheesed the fight out, obviously. Grand and Ifrit, Valifor with his overdrive, and then energy rain, energy blast, but whatever.
Still wet behind the ears, but you have spirit. Here, your prize. Go on, take it.
Thank you very much. So we got 6 smoke bombs instead of something else. And a Summoner's Soul. So what does the Summoner's Soul do? I'll skip the tutorial and show you guys.
Study, Yuna, and grow strong.
Yeah, we will. We will. No worries. I don't need Aeons to win. Just let me put Kimahri on. Okay, so here we go. Basically, now we go to Aeons, okay? Before we could just get the status, so we can see 2 of them are dead. Ixion's okay, because we never got to fight. You see, it also says battles to go. This is that resurrection mechanic I was talking about before, where if you continue having battles, they'll actually revive themselves and start healing themselves. But you see, save spheres so often it doesn't usually matter. So anyway, you got the status, right? Well, there's also now a new tab here called Abilities, right? Which we just learned. So what we can do with abilities is use items to teach Aeons new skills. So Ifrit started with what? He started with Fire, the basic black magic fire spell. He started with Null Blaze and Null Frost, right? That's what he had. Well, now you'll see I've got a long list here of different abilities I can teach him. So, you know those really basic spheres we use in the sphere grid? Power spheres, I've got 99 of them. I told you guys we'd get a lot of them very quickly. Well, you can use these to teach Aeons different abilities. So power spheres allow them to learn Cheer. That's that ability that Tidus has that boosts power and defense together, yeah? Aim, which is the whacker one, which was accuracy. So we can use speed spheres to teach him that. Focus, which is the Lulu one from Mana Spheres. Reflex, which was... again, Lulu, which was evasion. I think that's kind of weird that Lulu gets 2. So, and you can teach him a bunch of other stuff here. So look, Cure. If we had enough high potions, we could teach Cure to an Aeon. And what could we who would best we teach that to? What about Valifor? Valifor can't heal herself right now. But with Cure, she would be able to. Hell, with enough X potions, we could even teach Valifor Cura. And with enough Mega potions, we could teach it Curaga. Which, I mean, these are 2 abilities we don't even have unlocked on our regular characters right now. Here, look, we could teach you can teach some redundant abilities, so like full life, right? Restore someone back to life with 100% health. Yeah, you can teach that to an Aeon, but an Aeon's not going to be able... The Aeon is the only thing on the field, so when it dies, it gets banished, and then there's There's no reason to ever teach it that, right? But there's a bunch of different abilities. So if you've got the items in your inventory, it will appear on the list. If you don't have enough, though, it will appear grey, so you can't do it. You see it says not enough items. So these aren't all the things in the game, not by a long shot. These are just the items that I have on me. Now, if we beat Belgamine more convincingly there, if we'd actually managed to beat her, we would have had like one extra thing on this list that really isn't great, so don't worry about it. But that's one thing you can do with items. They're actually about to really open up the options you have for items in this game. They're going to teach you how you can use them to teach Aeon's abilities. They're going to open up weapon customization and something else too, like all very quickly, probably over the next episode and a half or so. So yeah, items really get a lot more interesting and a lot more of the core mechanics of the game are about to open to us. So anyway, there we go. We go home defeated. Let's travel a little bit further along the road. Kind of interesting here, there is, even though it's kind of easy to spy chests, there is a reasonably well hidden one here. On the map you can see it, but it's kind of hard to find the little area where you can walk into the forest to grab it. And I'll show you guys in just a second. So we got ambushed. Waka, as ever, is going to attack that. Kill out. I'm getting great luck on those, by the way. Really great luck. Titus comes in and kills the dingo. Actually, hold on, look. So, there's two things I want to show you guys. Number one is scan. Somebody mentioned this in the comments and actually made me remember that this was even possible. Yeah, you can scan enemies, so we can scan this Garm here, right? Last thing I think we scanned was, what, the Obliterator or something ages ago? Maybe that was something we did since. Anyway, so here, very nimble and hard to hit. Magic defense is also high. Defeated quickly to avoid damage. It's vulnerable to lightning and fire, right? Or you can actually scan your own party members. And there's some Oh, no. That's counterattack for you. So with counterattack, you can defend and still get a regular hit off too. So that was pretty funny. There you go. All right, so we're going to try and get this item. You see it's over there on the left? And there you go. See, it's just hidden very cheekily right there. With the map turned off, you'd probably not get that. And that's a magic defense sphere, so that's quite nice. All right, so we'll get another encounter. Basically, if you walk into the forest, it actually turns off the random encounters like quite early, so you don't want to do that. All right, we'll leave the we'll get rid of Titus, shall we? Because we don't want him counterattacking and ending the battle. So we'll do that. I think we've seen all the enemies that this region has to offer to you, by the way. So that time we never got it. But look, so we can also scan our own party members. So let's scan Auron. And it will give you information about them. It will tell you like their stats and stuff. But it will also give you like a bit of lore about the toons. So here, look. The legendary Guardian who, along with Jecht, joined High Summoner Braska on his journey to vanquish Sin 10 years ago. After their victory, he left Spira for Zanarkand to watch over Titus. Formerly a warrior monk, he once protected the temples of Yevon. So he used to be a warrior monk. You can learn this like before you even meet Keenock and stuff at Operation Mihen. Really cool. And he's got immunity to one thing, and that's Threaten. I didn't even realize Auron had that base immunity to Threaten. That's kind of weird. Does everyone have an immunity to Threaten? That's really weird. I mean, what enemies even threaten you? I don't think any do in the whole game, so that's kind of iffy. Alright, let's bring Yuna in. We'll Azuna Waka, and we'll scan a couple of people. What's really interesting, though, I want to scan Titus and Yuna, I think, are the two that I want to scan. There we go, we got lucky that time. Well, I don't even... Yeah, okay, so Yuna's here. Let's scan her. Now, there are two characters, I think it's Titus and Yuna, okay, that as the story progresses, the scan description of them actually changes. Like, at certain points in the story, I couldn't pinpoint where it is anymore, I don't have the notepad, but it changes as the story goes along. So here, she was taken to Besaid after losing her father 10 years ago. There she grew up with Waka and Lulu, choosing to follow in her father's footsteps and become a summoner. Being very honest and open, she can't keep a secret for long. This is really interesting. She was only taken to Besaid. I don't know whether I've been clear about this. Yuna wasn't born in Besaid. She was only taken there. She's actually from somewhere else. So there's that, and we'll bring Titus on. I mean, hell, let's haste Kimahri here, shall we? Not that it's really necessary. It was just a friggin' Garm out there. And lastly, Titus. I'm pretty sure, almost 100% sure, Titus's description is going to change sometime in the story. So, star player of the Zanarkand Apes. His attacks lack power due to his inexperience with the sword. Speed is his greatest asset. As a child, he was a crybaby, and tears still come to him easily. I mean, that's such a bad description of him. Jeez. It almost goes into gameplay mechanics, while the other people have just, like, upfront lore about him. But whatever. So, this guy was weak to fire, wasn't he? So yeah, you know, that's something cool you can do. I'm glad someone reminded me actually in the comments, because again, it's a bit like the auction house thing. I may have just forgotten to do that completely. Anyway, so there we go. We got a fair amount of stuff there. Poison Steel, that's a new weapon for Tidus. I'm probably not going to equip it, but it is really good because this thing is Poison Touch. That means we're sort of like the Ochu. We attack, we inflict poison on enemies. Poison does more damage based on the max health of enemies. So against a lot of bosses, Poison is really strong. And we won't learn Poison as a regular ability for a while. So getting a weapon like that, I've got to say that's really awesome actually, that we managed to grab that thing. And I may even start using it. I can't think of the next boss that Poison would work on right now. Not immediately to mind, but whatever. So anyway, that's one half of the moonflow done. I know what you're thinking, oh my god, that was only half, because the terrain's not really that interesting, it's just a long road, right? But don't worry too much, the other half, as I say, like the north bank of it, is not very long at all. Anyway, why do they call it the moonflow?
Whoa!
This is the moonflow.
These are moon lilies. They say that clouds of fireflies gather here when night falls.
The entire river glows like a sea of stars.
Really? Hey, I got an idea!
We're not waiting till nightfall.
Ah. Then, once we beat Sin, we're coming back.
Hey, we better hurry or we'll miss the shoe puff.
Shoe puff? That's some kind of boat?
What was he pointing at? I want to know. So yeah, this is the moonflow. Kind of sad thing, actually, about this game and the second one. You never get to see this place at nightfall, despite what they said. Like, it would be really cool, right? But you really don't. So, anyway, that's the moonflow. Now, I've got some cool lore for you guys. Let's have a look at our map. I've got so much to say. I need to find a way to structure it all nicely. So first, let's just look at the map. Now, what's really cool about the moonflow, if you see where we are right now. Actually, that is so wrong, where that marker says we are. That has to be wrong. Oh, no, I guess not. So if I'll zoom in on the editing, right? You can kind of see here, guys, that there's a bit of an inlet of water and then what appear to be a couple of rivers seeping in. Now, on other maps, this one's kind of an artistic rendition, right? With, you know, the big monsters and stuff around it. That river actually cuts straight across the continent. You'll see it in other maps later, right? And the moonflow actually separates this large landmass that is known as Spira in two, okay? And this is why I'm surprised, actually, that it's appearing so south for us right now. I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to be so south. It actually cuts it in two. And there is a different name for each continent. The one to the north of the moonflow and the one to the south of the moonflow. So far, we've always been on Spira, but we've actually been on a continent. The name of that continent is never revealed in-game. It's only on this map. Can you see that big black text just to the right of our feather right now? That actually is saying the name of the entire continent. And then likewise, there's another one up to the top left of it, of that other big landmass, that is the name of the other continent. Now, the one we are currently on is called the continent of Jose. So, funnily enough, we were just on the Jose High Road, right? And we just went to the temple of Yevon Jose. Well, this entire continent is called Jose. That's where we are. We're in Spira, Jose, the Moonflow, right? The northern continent is named Wilderia. Now that is not a term you would have ever heard unless you knew about this on the map. Wilderia, you never would have heard that. No character ever utters it. It's never said in spoken text. It's not written on any signs. It's only here on this map. So the bottom one says Jose continent. The top one says Wilderia continent. So we're actually moving now from Jose to Wilderia. There's a little bit of lore in a future area we'll be going to not too long from now, where you hear about a guy, one of the previous High Summoners, who rounded up all of these fiends and banished them basically from the entire Jose continent and hid them on the Wilderia continent, and we're going to release those fiends. But there's a bit of lore about that kind of references it, but you know, this is the kind of stuff that you get from this map. It's really cool. I just mentioned as well that we were just at a place called Temple of Yevon Jose. Why is it called the Temple of Yevon Jose? Well, the other ones were just like Besaid Temple or Kilika Temple. Well, as far as this map's concerned, all of the temples are named like that. It's the Temple of Yevon Besaid, it's the Temple of Yevon Kilika, the Temple of Yevon Jose, and so on and so on and so on, right? So that's what this map says, and you know all these tiny little notes that I said are basically intranslatable? Well, a lot of them you can actually at least make out the formation of the words that do say Temple of Yevon, and then it's just like something. The guy's blog that I was reading basically couldn't translate that final word, but we know that there's lots of other temples out there because they all say Temple of Yevon something or other. Anyway, so that's about that. I won't talk to you guys about that for too long more. We'll head on into the next area here, and there's some more map stuff too, not related to the map we get in our inventory, but a map you see on the wall in a second.
Whoa! What the? Whoa!
Oh yeah, this is a shoe puff. Giant elephant thing. It's not a fiend, for the record.
This is a shoe puff.
Whoa! Let's ride! Come on, let's go!
All right. We board soon as we ready, huh?
They have this idea that Titus and Waka are just big kids, basically. Alright, so just before we get to the shoe puff, we get a chest here with 2 Phoenix Downs, always nice.
I'll walk at your service.
And Awaka is still here with us, so it's almost like he's got one of the worst excuses for still hanging out with us. I think the story is he's headed to the capital. They never set this up properly, but I think the idea is he is moving to the capital, because what merchant wouldn't want to be in the capital, right? So as we travel towards the capital, that's where he's going as well. And funnily enough, it's sort of coincidental-ish because the story gets blown up, basically. But when you get to the capital, that's sort of when Awaka stops following you as well. And so, you know, I think that's the idea. He's at the capital. Anyway, so, got any weapons? He, as always, does have interesting stuff. Switch hitter is a lot of damage. You remember we actually picked one of those up very recently for Waka. I think it was in the inn just after we finished everything at the temple. And fire and ice strike called the double edge. Now, fire and ice strike might seem really weird and useless, right? Let's say you're Titus, right? And you want to attack a ice flan. The ice flan is weak to fire, so you'll think, yeah, this is good because it's got fire strike. But it also gets healed by ice. So what happens? It just does normal damage? Isn't this useless? Well, the mechanics don't actually work that way. Basically, it will just select what the best one is. So if we were to attack an ice flang with this double edge, it would just apply the fire strike and ignore the other ones. That gets kind of more complicated in 10.2, where there's way more elements and just loads more fantastic stuff. But and stuff called like Tetris Strike, which we'll get into. But yeah, so just fire strike and ice strike, it will just pick the best one. And so if you had a weapon that had all 4 on it, you're just basically always going to be doing the best elemental damage without ever having to scan or any crap like that. So there you go. That's that. Nothing really particularly interesting from him. Don't think he sells any great items. Here's Yuna.
Shoe puffs! I haven't ridden one in so long.
What? You've been on one of these?
Well, just once. 10 years ago, with Kimari. Remember?
Shoe puff shook, Yuna fall in water. Shoe puff scoop up Yuna with long nose. Yuna jump in 3 more times for fun. Kimari worried.
Whoops.
Yuna had fun. Kimari happy.
So she was just a kid when she was brought to Besaid, right? And this was the last time she was on a shoe puff. I think she's about to say, actually.
I lived in the city of Bevel until 10 years ago. I moved to Besaid after my father defeated Sin Kimari was with me the whole way.
Bevel?
It's the biggest city in Spira. The main temple of Yevon is there.
That's kind of weird that she calls that the main temple of Yevon. It's really weird that she calls it the main temple of Yevon, but we'll talk about that. So, what else?
Come on, let's get on the shoe puff.
I love Yuna when she seems excited. It's awesome.
Come on, let's get on the shoe puff.
Yeah, we will.
Biran is troublemaker, but Ronso do not lie. Summoners disappearing, that was not lie.
Right. I'll be careful.
Okay, sure.
Smells like oil.
Smells like oil? Why would it smell like oil? Guess they got like a crane here, by the way. So, like, to load people on and off the shoe puff. So there we go, there it is, check it out! This guy says, hey there, if you don't buy anything from me, you'll regret it. Sure, you got any armor? Right, now basically, this little area, okay, around the wharfs, there's a bunch of merchants who all want your money, okay? And it's kind of appropriate because you start getting a lot of money around this time of the game too. Thanks! So there's a lot of options. You can go crazy if you like, but there is one particular thing that I'm definitely going to be buying here, which I'll talk about in just a second. This guy says, dangerous where shoe puff's close. Wants to be smooshed? Okay, now that voice acting, alright, is bang on point, okay? Because this is a Hypello. Another one of the new races. I think this is basically the only place you ever meet Hypello are around here. They live around the moonflow. Macon's actually about to talk to us about them, so I won't go off on some crazy lore tirade for you. This guy says, there have been reports of Elbed sightings in this area. Stay alert and keep your guard up at all times. Sure, Mr. Warrior Monk. This guy says, maybe that's why it smells like oil, by the way. Need anything? She also sells some armor. Defense, blah, blah, blah. Not really interested. Feel free to stop by anytime. There's an old dude up here who says, you say our Machina violate the teachings, eh? Nonsense. These Machina have Yevon's approval. Don't mix them up with the forbidden ones, got it? So there's a bit of a line, okay? There is forbidden Machina, which is like guns and shit, which is fair enough. And then there's like Machina that they kind of approve, like the Blitzball Stadium. Like, I guess this crane too, over here. But it's all the way up there, we can't quite get on just yet. Here's Auron.
10 years ago.
A history lesson?
Jack saw his first shoe puff here. Surprised, he drew his blade and struck it.
Why?
He was drunk. Thought it was a fiend.
Oh, brother.
We offered all the money we had as an apology. Jet never drank again. But it would seem that shoe puff still works here.
And if you look, actually, just behind his leg, you can see what looks like some kind of a scar. I mean, that's a big strike from Jecht, it seems. But yeah, okay, so a bit more development for Jecht there. He actually stopped drinking at some point then. Maybe he wasn't some horrible guy the entire way through the adventure.
Even after 10 years, Spira hasn't changed. Truly, the place seems to resist change. It would take something unusual.
Alright, now that line is actually one of our first indications of one of the biggest overall themes of this entire story, this entire adventure. The idea of Spira being stuck in like a spiral that never changes, right? Spira doesn't change. And Auron, who's been away for 10 years, comes back and he sees that.
Don't let the peaceful scenery fool you. Be on guard at all times.
Okay, sure. This lady over here. Riding the shoe puff is free because the temple paid for it. Okay. The temple provides for the people. We are truly blessed. I'm sure you are. Awesome. So they help people actually get passage from Jose to Wilderia. Oh.
No, I don't think so. It's a bad idea, yes.
Please, we beg of you.
Impossible! Impossible!
What's wrong?
This guy won't let our chocobo on the shoe puff.
It is kind of big.
It's just not fair.
He does have a point, though.
So what? We just leave him behind?
Hey, I didn't say that, just...
It is no good. We will have to find another way. We will find a ford where we can cross on foot.
Yes, Captain Sir.
But that'll take days.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Oh, boy.
That's our captain. Yeah.
Alright, well, see you guys for a while then. And it will be a while before we see them. It's basically...
Where there's a will, there's a way. Those words stayed with me. I wonder how Captain Lucille is doing.
That's always a weird bit of dialogue, Titus's thoughts there. But yeah, so they're gonna be gone for a while. Well, it's not the last we'll see of them, but for, you know, a couple of episodes or so. And yes, that is how the Hypello sound. Impossible! Impossible! That is like, that's legit, guys. That's how they sound. So, you know, don't get mad at me. That's their voice acting. So, we're gonna save here. We're gonna have a quick chat with Macon. We're gonna have an all-round good time. Alright, so let's have a chat with him. Hey, Macon.
Would you like to hear a bit about the wondrous shoe puff?
Absolutely. No stories, please, and it's the default. Wow. No, absolutely.
Very well. There are many things we do not know about the shoe puff. For example, what does it eat? It eats nothing. The water it sucks through its schnoz somehow supports its considerable size.
Schnoz.
Some theorize it eats teeny-weeny waterborne organisms. And that, as they say, is that.
Okay.
Perhaps you'd like to hear a bit about the Hypello,
Please, yes, absolutely.
The shoe puff handlers belong to a race of water dwellers known as the Hypello. They may be slow on land, but in the water they're quick as silvery fish. You'd think they'd make admirable players of blitzball. But their lackadaisical disposition draws them to less strenuous pastimes. And that, as they say, is that.
You get a lot more about the Hypello. I love that as well, because they would be a good blitzball team. Why aren't they a blitzball team? You get more about the Hypello, like in the sequel. There's actually some special items in this game called Hypello potions, which do sort of certain things, which I'll talk about. But yeah, so that's the Hypello, and that's the shoe puffs. This guy says, there's a long wait to ride the shoe puffs since space is limited. But summoners get priority since they need to get on their way to Xenokun. I wonder if you could just fake being a summoner. Just for, you know, all the nice gifts and stuff people give you and all the quality treatment you get. So there's a chest behind Lulu here. Which has 5,000 gil. So, you know, like they give you all these merchants and they give you a bunch of money too, which is great.
Riding a shoe puff isn't that much fun.
Oh, come on.
How little you know. Some things little boys never grow out of. Right?
High five, Whacker. Hells yells. What else you got to say, Lulu?
The merchants here are wily. Pick your shop well.
Wily? I don't know why, but the vocabulary of the game seems so much more rich at this one specific area.
The merchants here are wily.
Yeah, okay.
Let the driver know when you're ready.
So basically we can board the sheep off now. There's this lady here who says, I was going to return to Pavel after the Lucca tournament in Lucca. But the Crusaders blocked the road so I couldn't get through. My plans are ruined. Now what am I supposed to do? Yeah, because there's no Blitzball Stadium in Bavel, despite being the largest city. My plan... sure, don't worry. I love that they're still referencing, like, the tournament, you know? It's so smooth. They blend these arcs together so nicely. This guy says, welcome! You seem to have a fine taste, sir. Listen, buy from me and you won't have any problems down the line. I don't think you've got anything I'm going to be interested in. Hunter Sword, Strength and Scan, Strength and Fire Strike, Ice Strike... Fire Strike, Ice Strike, Piercing, and Dark Touch. What you really want at this point, by the way, if you're seriously looking for stuff, is something with Lightning Strike for Whacker and Titus. Be really, really useful. So there's a big picture of a shoe puff up in the background there. You'll actually notice behind Lulu here is something you can clearly see. It's written in Spirin, but you can clearly see it says map. Now what that is actually a chunk of the map we saw back at Rin's travel agency back in the Mihen High Road, like a zoomed in version. There are special guides for Final Fantasy games, and I think a lot of games over in Japan, called Ultimanias, I believe. I hope I'm getting my facts right here, okay? But the Ultimanias are like crazy in-depth guides about video games that have tons of prestige. They're very expensive, got tons of prestige. They like have all this crazy information. Like for example, okay, my guide is just like an English guide that's, I think it's a piggyback guide, right? But these Ultimania guides, they get information directly from the devs. Like for example, what % chance does an Ochu have to physically attack or use this attack? And it has all of that kind of stuff written down. The exact encounter, you know, % chances for things to spawn. And they don't release outside of Japan. People have been petitioning for like English translations for a long time. Tons of information, never before seen, unreleased concept art, original development ideas about the game and where they wanted to go. Loads and loads of information. Anyway, in the Ultimania for Final Fantasy X, though I've never read it, I do happen to know that the larger blown up version of this map we're currently stood next to is in that. Anyway, so you'll also notice on the map, it's basically a zoomed in area, and this is where we currently are. This is the moonflow it's showing us. And it's got 2 bits of text there, one on the left and one on the right. These are marking locations. They've got arrows on Spira that we never get to visit, okay? Towns, outposts, geological features perhaps, who knows? But we do get their names, okay? And the one on the left is a place called Kino. I like to imagine these are towns, okay? I like to go even further. I like to imagine they're towns, maybe with temples in them, okay? The one on the left is called Kino, and apparently it's pointing somewhere around the Mien High Road or somewhere around there. And the other one is called Gon Koga. And it's just nearby where we are. So yeah, 2 places, Gon Koga and Kino. Maybe we're going to be in the game at some point. Never ended up getting added, but there you go. Gon Koga actually sounds, the guy whose blog I'm reading pointed out, actually sounds very similar to Gongaga, which is a pretty significant place in Final Fantasy VII. It's actually Zack's home in Final Fantasy VII, so maybe a reference there, who knows, but yeah, you also notice the maps way over on the right of the screen behind this dude, but you can't really translate those. And there you go, that's pretty much all I've got to say about the maps in this area. Pretty cool, right? Does Making have anything else to say?
I believe I've said all there is to say.
No, okay, did I already do that? Now, you'll notice, okay, we've got Macon here, we've got one merchant, we've got the lady who's been delayed, the guy in the back who's selling stuff, Lulu and Waka, right? That's all you've got here. However, there is a hidden merchant in this area. Leave this screen. Now, what reason do you ever have to return there? You can now go speak to the guard and go up, right? Return to the screen, and you'll see a new woman's appeared here, this lady here. And she actually is the only merchant that sells something we want. Well, hello there, are you in luck today? If you buy something now, I'll give you a big discount. Well, what do you say? So, she sells a cool weapon for Lulu that I'd love to demonstrate to you guys called Fatal Kate Sith. This not only is a new type of doll we haven't seen before, but this has Death Touch. Death is a status effect in this game that instantly kills something, a bit like Petrify. Instantly kills something. If you kill someone with death as a status, no numbers appear, the HP isn't necessarily reduced to 0, it just KOs them straight away. So this is Death Touch. That means, like the Petrify Touch, it's got about a 50-50 chance of doing it. But it won't do it when Lulu casts spells, it's only when she physically attacks. So that's your like gamble with this weapon. Do you want to be like risking a turn where she could be casting black magic to maybe guarantee a kill, or do you want to use Fatal Kate Sith to like try and run up and attack someone? Now, if you never got the TKO, this is your next best option. I'm going to buy it for you guys. There's another one down here with Poison Touch, but don't forget you can get Poison Touch stuff just from killing Ochus in that earlier area. Force Lance here. You know, kind of a hybrid mage / attack thing for Kimahri, and a Thunder Spear with Lightning Strike, but we don't care that much about Lightning Strike on Kimahri. So we're going to get the Fatal Kate Sith. It costs a lot of money, 15,000 on a hidden merchant, but we'll equip it just for demonstration. I'm actually going to sell a bunch of stuff here too, guys, so I'll see you in a second. So we're back up to 12,000 gil here, which is quite nice. But yeah, so she says, oh, leaving already? We'll come back again, you hear? So yeah, kind of a cool, actually, little merchant. I really enjoy her. So, with that done, I'm going to prepare for the next bit of the story. I'm going to equip Waka with his Lightning Strike weapon, and Tidus with his Lightning Steel, which is his Lightning Strike weapon. And we're gonna save always to a new file. If I've been leaving footage in of this, by the way, accidentally, if you're wondering why I'm always saving to a new file, it's in case stuff like the recording crashes, and then I can actually go back and re-record the entire thing without, you know, having lost so much progress. Like, for all I know, earlier when it hiccuped, the recording's just been dead this entire time. This is the risk I have to take. Alright, so, we've already spoken to all these guys. Let's get on the shoe puff.
Ride the shoe puff?
Ride the shoe puff? Hell yeah, I'm ready, let me on.
All aboard!
On I'm so excited. Who remembers the excitement of being a kid and, I don't know, maybe not a shoe puff, but going on like a ferry? There's a small like island to the south of Great Britain, not far away, called the Isle of Wight. And I remember when I was young going to the Isle of Wight and being so excited about it. Man, getting on that ferry, cool stuff. I haven't been to like the ocean for so long. Alright, so now we cross the moonflow.